Oh, the passenger, how he rides. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He looks through his window. What does he see? He sees a silent hollow sky. He sees the stars come out tonight. He sees the city's ripped back sides. He sees a winding ocean drive. And everything was made for you and me. All of it was made for you and me. 'Cause it just belongs to you and me. So let's take a ride and see what's mine. Singing la 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 la. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He sees things from under glass. He looks through his window's eye. He sees the things he knows are his. He sees a bright and hollow sky. He sees a city asleep at night. He sees the stars are out tonight. And all of it is yours and mine. And all of it is yours and mine. So let's take a ride and ride and ride. Sing la 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 la. Sing la 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 passenger, and I ride and I ride. I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. You know it looks so good tonight. I am the passenger. I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I see the bright and hollow sky. Over the city's ripped back sky. And everything looks good tonight. Singing la la la. Get into the car, we'll be the passenger. We'll ride through the city tonight. See the city's ripped back sides. We'll see the bright and hollow sky. We'll see the stars that shine so bright. The sky was made for us tonight. Oh, the passenger, how he rides. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He looks through his window. What does he see? He sees a silent, hollow sky. He sees the stars come out tonight. He sees the city's ripped back sides. He sees a winding ocean drive. And everything was made for you and me. All of it was made for you and me. 'Cause it just belongs to you and me. So let's take a ride and see what's mine. Singing la 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 la. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He sees things from under glass. He looks through his window's eye. He sees the things he knows are his. He sees a bright and hollow sky. He sees a city asleep at night. He sees the stars are out tonight. And all of it is yours and mine. And all of it is yours and mine. So let's take a ride and ride and ride. Sing la 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 la.
Video's hot, music is off.
Dale Comer's comment is priceless.
What's that?
So, I
Hey,
can't
Dale.
believe I don't have anything better to do right now.
How do you think I feel?
Yeah, we could all say the same thing, Dale.
A sentiment shared by one and all. Well, good news. I refreshed my grown-up juice, so I have plenty of cough medicine for the night. All right,
Get
guys.
that cough under control.
So, a whole bunch of cool things to talk about, and most of which I thought of in the last 5 minutes was running around getting pictures and stuff together. We're going to be
Perhaps you
talking.
should have had adult juice earlier in the thought process.
I can either confirm or deny. At this point, we can either confirm nor deny the consumption of grown-up juice earlier before the broadcast. But I'm pretty sure you guys will be able to make an educated guess. Okay, let's try this. First off, let's get a sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Steve?
Fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And Ken?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Because he's a contrarian. And
I
we'll
gotta be different.
we'll get a few. I'm sure it won't be long before people tell us if they're hearing you okay. My electronic pegometer with the red emitter, the green emitter, and the yellow emitter shows us right on the bouncing into the yellow, which is where all the YouTube talking heads say you're supposed to be. So
Herman says he's not getting any sound. Make sure it's going out.
is anybody getting sound? Because that's okay. Yeah, the people. Yeah, Scratchy's got sound. Yeah, I think what it is, Herman. Not to, but I've had that problem before. There's like 3 places to adjust the volume. There's the actual app you're using. There's the computer itself, the desktop. Probably something switched off, or you don't have the speaker or headset selected. Would be my guess. And I'm telling him this, but he can't hear me. So think about it, Max. There's the ultimate blonde moment. Yes, Max is giving instructions audibly.
Put it up there.
We're giving audio instructions to the guy who has no sound. I should use semaphore.
Just
check.
write a note, hold it up.
The speaker.
Okay, he got it now.
Oh, great. Okay.
Sound find in New Zealand.
Well, let me tell you. I told you I was loud.
This is like the grand tour for children.
Wow, you make that, you say that like it was a bad thing.
No, I didn't say it was a bad thing. It was just a, comparison. I was drawing.
So,
We are good in Scotland too.
excellent.
Wow.
We got
We're all around the planet.
Did you go visit the Queen?
Ooh,
too
careful there.
soon. But don't eat fruit or carbs. Don't eat fruit or carbs.
Okay.
That kind of has two of the three major food groups if you don't count candy as a food group. So this morning, Paul in New Zealand sent me he's here. Hey, Paul. Paul asked me he sent me a very detailed email, and he was frustrated because people were saying, for Paul to get to a hobby shop is quite the trial. I've been to New Zealand. I love the place. It's probably the most, that and Banff up in Calgary up in Canada are two of the most beautiful places I have ever been in my life. And, well, I mean, they filmed Lord of the Rings in New Zealand, so there you go. But anyway, I spent most of my time on a motorcycle going around the South Island. But New Zealand is very spread out, and for a lot of folks down there aren't a lot of hobby shops. It's quite the ordeal to get to some place that sells model supplies, and he had some bad luck with some places. He was looking for some of the Big Daddy Roth stuff, and
Don't forget, beer is a major food group too.
well, that's carb. Hey, don't kid yourself. That's how the Germans drink beer, because that was how they got carbs in their diet. You don't see a lot of wheat fields in Germany. What as they said in Robin Hood, the one with Kevin Costner, where Friar Tuck or whoever, Little John's talking about, Friar Tuck's talking about, this is wheat. Any idiot can make bread, but to make beer.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so it's quite the chore for him to get down to the hobby shop. It's quite an effort. He's a very dedicated modeler. He's helped me with a lot of information for a lot of the history, some of the history videos I've done recently. He is more knowledgeable than I am, and I lean on him greatly for information from time to time. And he was justifiably frustrated because he recently made the trek to go down there, and they said they had stuff in stock, and it wasn't. And he did this with several places, and this is not a minor endeavor on his behalf. So that got me. At first, I just thought I'd just give him, the usual product. Well, it happens. A lot of places do that. But I did a little digging. Man, I did not have to scratch very hard before I started. And not to mention some of the feedback that the glue troopers are leaving, and he kind of touched on something. So I decided, you know what, I'm actually, and Ken, you can help me with this. You guys may not believe this, but for one point, I actually went to college for management information systems, which is a combination of business and computer programming. And Ken is a lifelong self-taught computer programmer who's made a living at it, and have actually fathered many programs. And when I was working for an insurance company here in Florida after I'd graduated college, I was astonished at how the computer systems worked. We think PCs, everything happens instantly. And Ken, I know you worked at a bunch of places, and I'm sure you've dealt with, inventory and everything. And some folks left some comments. Well, why is it when they scan the thing that it just doesn't tell the inventory, okay, you sold one, it's out of stock? And that was what I used to think. It's not that simple. One reason is a lot of larger companies, because they're scattered all over the globe, they do batch processing. And they usually do it at night, which means stuff doesn't get updated right away. And Ken, if you can keep it under 30 seconds, can you explain batch processing and why it doesn't, inventory control isn't instantaneous?
Well, back in the old days when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I first started programming, and for several years after that, communication speed between companies was not very fast. And instantaneous communications was expensive. So what they would do is they would just save all the transactions up and do what you just said. They would run them all at night, overnight, when nobody was using the system.
And that was called batch processing.
That's batch processing. And that's why you didn't get the most accurate, up-to-date inventory because somebody could have sold something and it could have been the last thing, but because it hasn't gone through the batch yet, you didn't know about it.
Now, the thing is, the next question a lot of you will probably think is, well, that was then, what about now? The problem is companies who, and this includes kit model companies and suppliers, they get a system that works, and their core competency is not computers, it's cars or models or clothes. There's actually an old commercial. This guy goes in and talking about all the computer problems, and everything's running smooth. He goes, well, now what do we do? He goes, well, sir, we should talk about shirts. Why? Because we actually make shirts. That's our job. But all the computer problems. And when they get a system that works, they tend to stick with it. Just because it's paid for, it's a sunk cost, and it does the job. So a lot of these companies, even today, have pretty antiquated systems. And trust me,
I will vouch for that.
Yes.
Trust me, I have worked on them.
So have I. And it is maddening when you're a techie. And the system's 10, 15 years old. You're still using COBOL!
Shoot, we got a system where I'm working now that was written back in the 70s.
Ken and I are computer geeks because it's for me. When I would watch Battlestar Galactica and they talk about the Lords of COBOL, all I could think of was Common Oriented Business Operating Language. And yes, that's what COBOL stands for.
What you're leaving out of the equation is that let's take the retail store, okay? The stuff comes into the store, it gets scanned into the inventory and receiving.
Yep.
Then somebody puts it in a stock location and on the selling floor.
Uh-huh.
As it sells, they're supposed to take the product from the stock location, put it in the selling location, and then it shows what the inventory is. A lot of times what happens is they'll take the stuff from the stock location, put it in the selling location, and never show that it's in the selling location.
Yeah, exactly.
So you go online and say, do you have this item? And they'll look it up and they'll go, no, because there's none on the floor.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the stock location because nobody, when they moved it, scanned it to say that this was on the floor to sell. And that's the weak link in the whole system. It's not really the software. It's the fact that the employees don't always properly scan the products through the sales process.
And there's the joy of minimum wage labor.
Exactly.
Now, I don't want to beat this too long because I'm sure you guys are not the least bit interested in computer programming, but there's one more thing I have to add. Now, of course, a lot of programs have been modernized to fix some of these problems. Not all companies do it. But I went to Hurricane Hobbies today, and I asked Ian, and by the way, Paul, I want you to know I did this thinking of you. I asked Ian about that, because if he had problems with, they say stuff's not in stock, but it is, or the other way around, he said, no, actually, he's had really good luck, and he's done with, he's dealt with Horizon, and what was that other one, Steve?
HRP.
HRP. Now, I was going to take some pictures, but this was proprietary stuff, and I didn't want to get him in trouble. So I didn't take any, but he showed me the commercial vendors' windows for ordering models and every supplies, which is different. Now, God bless Ian, he took a few minutes to show this to me and explain it to me. And man, as soon as I brought this up, this is something he hasn't owned that shop very long, but he has become intimately familiar with. And he's showing me the third-party vendor software where he orders as a retailer, and it is different. You go to Horizon Hobbies, we get a different page, probably feeding the same data. But he showed me another. I don't want to give any names because I don't want to get him in trouble. But he showed me another. He said actually they're usually very correct. When as a retailer, when they say they have it, they have it. And a lot of times he will go to one of the other ones, and it actually shows how many they have in stock. So a lot of these places' inventory control has gotten a lot better. But, and there's always the atomic but. Okay, that could be a superhero, the atomic but. Anyway, oh God, I did not just say that.
Don't go there.
don't go there. I'm seeing Melvin with Jeff Dunham. Anyway.
Don't
stop,
do that.
Stop, Max, stop. That's the grown-up Jews talking. Anyway, But what happens
Assembler?
is,
Holy, I'm reading one of the comments. Sorry. Go ahead.
oh, that's okay. Ken, you know, if you don't interrupt me, you won't get a word in edgewise.
Probably not.
So, but what happens is, a lot of times he will order something. Especially, he was talking about this Tamiya truck that came out. As soon as it hit the retail, you know, and the wholesaler said we have a bunch. Every retailer is gobbling them up, and it was like an eBay auction when you get sniped. By the time he could get logged in and say, "Oh, they got 47 left," you know, give me 5 of them or give me 1 of them, they'd sold out in the interim time it took that to process. So, you know, it's when you have faster communications and better inventory, you just get faster moving product, and you still wind up behind. So I just wanted to address that, and the reason I decided to bring this up at the live stream. Normally, I would have just given Paul the answer that I gave him, which is, you know, things happen, you know, and I kind of went into it just very little bit. But then I started reading the replies, and everybody had some kind of problem with this. And I was also, and I shouldn't have been, I was also surprised at how knowledgeable a lot of the glue troopers were about how the inventory systems work. But then I remember, outside of model building, you guys have lives, and a lot of you work in warehouses or in businesses that have dealt with this. Some of you are programmers. And I've actually been reading some of the comments here, Ken, and you can tell everybody talking about COBOL and some of the CIC and these others. Clearly, we got a lot of viewers
yes, definitely. I haven't heard somebody say CICS in years.
Oh my God! Okay, Ken, here's your quiz for the day. What does CICS stand for?
Oh crap! I never used it. It's a database interface software for COBOL. That's about all I know about it. I never had to use it.
And you think Lotus? Who remembers Lotus Notes? You know, or C and C plus.
And 1, 2, 3.
Fox Pro. Unix. The first time we're going to teach you to be a Unix. Hey, you stay away from me. You know, put them scissors down. I mean, who names a system Unix? I mean, it's UNIX. I don't care.
I forget why they called it that. Universal
integration or some crap like that. I forget. It's been so long. A universal integration exchange or something. I don't remember. I actually trained on Sun systems for anybody who remembers them.
I never used them, but yeah, they used to be really powerful stuff.
They were. No, they really were. They were the only thing to give Unix a run for its money back in the day. But I was a terrible IT guy. I didn't have the patience for it. Ken has helped me program. In fact, he helped me. You remember when I went to interview at OSoft? The guy looked at that and goes, "You're a friend of Ken's, right?" And I'm like, "Yep." Mm-hmm. He helped you with this, didn't he? Yep. I can tell mixes software or coding. Ken, he read that like you'd written. Well, you did help write it, but I was like, he spotted your work a mile away.
I thought that was a COBOL program VB program that you wrote for school.
No, well, it was a VB program. They wanted to see an example of my work, but you would help me with the school project.
Oh, that's what you used.
Yeah, I mean, he looked at that and he saw Ken all over it. And for those guys, for those who've never programmed, programming a language is writing, although you're writing in code. But it's just like you can tell when someone handwrites a letter. You can recognize the tricks certain people pull over time. And I realized
everybody has their own style, their own methods, their own little, like you just said, their own little tricks and ways of fixing and doing things.
Well, you know, and to get back to models, the same things are model building. I will guarantee you, every one of you has developed a series of tricks or techniques that you like to use that you're comfortable with. Some guys like to brush paint the camo on RAF or military aircraft and leave a hard line. And for a reason that makes sense, though. You walk up in a museum and see a Hurricane or Spitfire or Lancaster, and you can see the feathered edge. But it's actually a very fine feathered edge. You see the airplane at distance, and it becomes a hard line. So some guys prefer to use a brush, and I'm talking about master modelers prefer to use a brush and hardline the edge of camo that Other guys like to use the airbrush and feather. Some guys use Play-Doh. Some guys tear paper. Some guys just use a fine edge, a fine line airbrush. But you hang around in any IPMS club long enough, and you can look at a model like Trey built that one, or Bob built that one, or Max built that one. We can tell by the thumbprint on the windshield. But it's his trademark.
It's his signature.
You've
like
done
this
it too
one
often
comment
when
here.
the FBI can identify your thumbprint from a model. But
I like some of these comments here, like this one that just came up from Lance. It says, anybody who can follow a recipe or model instructions can write a COBOL program.
it's true.
Ooh.
Okay, Ken. Okay, guys, I swear to God, we're going to get off of computers here in just a second. But there's one story.
Wait a minute. You're killing a tangent?
Ken, this is a model live stream about models. And I knew the minute I brought up computers, there was a chance you were going to hijack the show. So it's your tangent I'm going to kill, not mine.
I am trying real hard not to do that right now.
Well, because I had a large glass of water before we started, I'm going to let you tell them, and I know 90% of them already know, why an error in a computer program is called a bug.
Really? There's people out there that don't know that?
No, not really. Let's skip that and go on to the next part. So anyway, but
Well, there is a history behind that.
yes, and I imagine, guys, if you don't know the history, just leave in the comment section, because I guarantee you everybody knows where the phrase bug comes from. And I don't think we need to go down that rabbit hole. Hey,
Why
let's
not?
talk politics.
That's a fun one.
Politics.
It was actually a question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah. And for the one person out there that doesn't know, the phrase bug comes from, Ken, tell them very quickly. I'm going to be right back. Yes, I'm abandoning you like Caesar did the Roman fleet at the Battle of Actium to chase Cleopatra. And yeah, my wife and I just watched the movie yesterday.
Are you going to stop talking?
We got to get him a bucket
Now's your
for
chance.
the table while he's doing this.
Hey, I heard that.
So he didn't have to get up so much,
You heard that? Okay. For those who dying to know where the term bug came from, some of you may not even know what it means. But bug literally means an error in a program. And when it came from is the woman, Grace Hopper, who actually worked for the Navy, was in the Navy. She was instrumental in developing the programming language called COBOL. But before that, she was working on one of the early computers. And back in those days, there were tubes and relays and all kinds of slow stuff compared to today. But they didn't have air conditioners. These things weren't air conditioned. They didn't need to be, because they put out tremendous amounts of heat, but they weren't really affected by it. So they just had the windows open. Well, what would happen was in the morning when the programmer came in, or whoever came in first, they would run a set of diagnostics on the computer to find out what had broken, and then they would go and fix it so that they could do their work that day. Well, this one guy came across something that wasn't working, went over and found out that in a relay, a moth had flown in during the night and actually gotten caught between the contacts on a relay. The relay was working, but nothing was going through. So he took the moth out, cleaned the contacts up, ran the diagnostic in. It worked great. Well, then, and programmers who tend to have a strange sense of humor, which I'm sure some of you probably know that already, he took the moth and he taped it in the logbook and said, "Problem found, bug removed." And everybody thought that was hilarious. And ever since then, whenever there's a problem with a program, it's referred to as a bug.
There you go. And there's your history lesson for the night. Now,
I think every time that Max gets up to leave the room for his...
you all have to take a shot.
we should call it Max download time.
Fair enough. Anyway, so now getting back to models and a model issue that's near and dear to all of us. Guys, You may know that a 1 to 200 scale Yamato battleship is out now, and you actually saw the thing at the show you went. Steve, why don't you tell them real quick about where you were in that Yamato?
I was just at the NERSA show, which is a hobby association. It's the National Retail Hobby Store Association trade show, and they hold it in Las Vegas, and they have about 200 vendors, and they get all of the members come, and they have seminars and demonstrations, and then they have this 2-day show where they go to the vendors' booths and discuss, what the new products are and show them what's there. Well, at the MRC booth, they had their new Yamato battleship kit. The box is about 3.5 feet long because that's the size of the hull. It was the biggest box I've ever seen for a model kit, and it's a ship that you order it as one to a box. That's it. But it was gigantic. I think I sent you a picture of it. Did I send you a picture of that?
Yeah, I actually downloaded some online, but that's odd. I didn't send. Hold on, I should have that picture. Let me see if I can find it real quick. You can keep talking. I'm going to just see if I meant to upload it in the bank here, and it's not there. Where did I? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it.
I just popped this up.
There
so
it
you get
is.
an idea of the scale of this thing.
Okay, perfect. You're going to see it in about 12 seconds. Remember, we got a lag time here. I just posted it. I made a montage photo, but it is, God, what a beast.
I couldn't believe how big this thing was.
There it is. You should have it here in just a couple seconds.
There it is.
What a monster. That's got to be 3.5, 4 feet long.
Yep, it's about 38 inches long.
So, what I wanted to talk about, and I have some other pictures, but this is the main one, is the difficulty in having large models. I mean, clearly you need an enormous place to put it, and if you don't want to wind up constantly having to dust it, you need a case. And I know some of you guys build pretty big models, and most of us don't. What is this, $500-$600 kit?
Yeah, it was like $4.99.
Yeah, which actually isn't that bad when you think about what you're getting.
No, but you definitely don't want to order this online because the shipping would be ridiculous.
I mean, that's got to be... Well, the guy who did the Felix stove for the book that Wingnut Wings put out spent 2 years working on it, and it's not as big as this model. Of course, it's got a crap ton of rigging on it. And this model's got to be even if you work fast, it's got to be a 3-4 month build if you work on it every night. But it's beautiful. I give them that.
Oh, wow. That thing is huge.
Oh, God, yes. The thing
That's
is,
big.
where do you put it?
That's as big as the Blue Devil.
Picture how much a case for that would be.
Oh, $800.
At least. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just... And then where do you need a lot of room to display.
I mean, maybe you could go to a place that has, deals in like China cabinets and find something wide enough. Mm-hmm. Now, since you brought that up, though, let me show you something. You'll see it in about 12 seconds.
Is this what we think it is?
What?
Is this what we think it is?
I don't know what you think, Ken. I failed my mind reading course. It'll be up in a few seconds, but these are a couple of large scale models. This is the 132nd scale former Wingnut Wings, now Borders Lancaster. This guy had to basically convert a coffee table into a, then you got the big Mosquito 132nd scale. That's big, but not so big that you can't find a place to put it. But the Lancaster, one guy put it like that against the wall. That's actually, he bolted it to the bottom so he could hang it up on the wall. And I got to admit, that's a rather clever approach to... and I've seen some guys that have done that before. Well, okay, look at this. Okay, hold on.
Passport says that's the John Holmes of ship models.
We are so not going there. I haven't
Okay.
had that much to drink. Fitness screen. There we go. Okay, this is a one on the left. It's a 1/48 scale Saturn V that was professionally made as like a, for a corporation. And on the right, I think that might be the 1/72nd one, which is 5 feet tall.
Should I ask why the girl in the picture on the left is smiling? But no. Okay, move on.
Oh.
He's from New
Yes.
York.
Quickly.
But the point I'm getting at is that I'll tell you exactly why she's smiling, because she was paid to the flirt. Smile, woman. And she's like, why am I posing with a model? You are a model.
One scale brunette.
Okay. Come on, guys. Let's grow up here. Yeah, that's never going to happen. But the problem you run into, just to keep you guys from getting out of hand, there we go. So
that case on the left, on the right, is really nice.
It is. It really, really is. And but the thing I wanted to bring up is that when you big, large models, and I had the same problem with the Felix though. I meant to go grab a photo of it and show it, but you guys have seen it before. I got it up on top of the case because it wouldn't fit in the case. Big models like the Yamato, these large-scale Saturn V's, even the Wingnut Wings Gothas and Felix Stows. The problem you have is, okay, where do I put the thing? And there's a meme out there that one of you guys sent me that it's a little cart, and the guys are all going, what are we? We're model builders. What do we want? More models. Where are we going to put them? We have no idea. But building large models is its own headache. The large scale models, because you just finding a place to display them, keeping them clean. You have to put them in a case or you have to dust them. Now, a Saturn V, pretty easy thing to dust off. Not a lot of little parts sticking out, but the Felix Stowe, I pretty much I clean that thing by going, because there's just no way I'm taking a brush to it. There's too much rigging and everything.
Canned air.
Canned air.
What? Oh, canned air. Yeah, that's about the only thing you can do. And, God, can you remember when we went to that place in Fort Lauderdale and they had all those models behind glass? And I said, if I come back, I'm bringing a tube of glue to fix these. And like, please do. Because they had a bunch of models behind glass, but just from the glue getting old, parts were falling off. And I can't move a model, never mind dusting one, without breaking something.
I will attest to that. When we replaced the shelves in the Tarbis, yes.
Yeah.
There was at least one casualty.
Yeah, there was, but we fixed it. And I did a little rearranging today. So my question to the glue troopers who are out there, and I hope you guys are reading the comments, because hey, John, 1/8 scale that converted to radio control, and it's cars are the one cars and tanks upscale. What?
I'm trying to say something here. You need to stop.
Yeah, not my superpower, but go ahead.
I know. Jack Fleming's son said, use your new compressor and airbrush.
I've done that.
They probably blasted through the side of the Tarbis.
No. I have used the airbrush from my paintbrush to blow dry them a little bit. But let me explain the problem. That all that stuff's out in the Tarbis. The models are in the house. Now, when I have models in the Tarbis and we dust it off, I have done that very thing. But moving the model, and we all know, you move a model, especially something like a rigged ship or a World War I airplane, with all that rigging, anytime you move that thing, God forbid it's the size of the Felix Stowe, you are taking your life in your hands, or more to that point, the rigging in your hands, literally. Something, you might as well fix it while you're out there, because something's going to break. And it usually breaks when you're putting it back on the shelf. You're like, great, just when you're almost there. But that will work if you have it handy. The nice thing about the canned air is that it's, just very, very portable. And
Hey,
you can clean.
so you have the ability to have two airbrushes at the same time run from the compressor, right?
Yes, I do. And I got them both hooked up and operating.
So can you blow dry your hair with one and with the other?
With the big one, I could. Hey, guys, What's got 2 thumbs and 2 air compressors? This guy. But big scale models are a trick to figure out how to display the things and where to put them. And when you have airplanes, the idea of putting them against the wall, I've seen several people who've done that with their displays, and some of them didn't have them under glass. But that's a nice way to display them. It saves a lot of space. And Ken, a lot of RC guys, in fact, I used to hang their models on the wall like that to up in the garage to make room.
Mm-hmm.
But
Fast Sports brought up an interesting way of fixing the problem. Try dusting a slot car with scenery.
Yeah.
Track.
Yeah, no kidding. And John, if you guys haven't been, go to John's channel, Scale Car Garage, and look at his layout he has. Keeping something like that clean, it's an ongoing thing. He's got all the people and the helicopters hanging from the ceiling, the works. But
no, he doesn't have dual regulators. He's got one regulator, but he's got dual output.
Actually, there's a video I did about a week ago. It's on the channel where I'm firing both at the same time, and it was able to hold pressure. That Sparmax you guys gave me is incredible. I mean, in fact, I have the warranty card right here. Went and got the serial number 00912, and all I have to do is put the model number on it, and I'm going to go mail this puppy off. It's a 2-year warranty registration. I want to make sure I do that. Especially if it gets, I don't want anything to happen to it in transit.
Well, wait till right up to the 2 years and then mail it the week before.
Like I said, folks, he's from New York. By the way, speaking of Nuevo York, Steve, I knew you grew up in Manhattan, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Ken, you were born in New York, weren't you?
I was. Oh, yeah.
But you didn't live there. Yeah, I mean, you grew up in Maryland.
I did for a little bit when I was a kid. I don't remember it, but my mom tells me I did.
Okay, but Steve, do you remember Polk's or any of the big famous New York?
Absolutely, that was there were the 3 big places that everyone remembers. One was Polk's. 2 was FAO Schwarz because they had all of the imported toys. And the 3rd was America's Hobby Center. And those were the 3 main places in Manhattan that if you were a kid, you went to for your models. But Polk's was like the Disneyland for modelers.
It had a floor dedicated to slot cars, right?
And it had 5 stories. And it had 1 floor was for radio control. Another floor was like for crafty type items. 1 was for plastic kits. 1 was like slot cars, and 1 was, I forget what else was the other floor, but it was 5 stories. As a matter of fact, if you see the first Godfather movie, when Tom Hagen is picked up by Sollozzo's men where he's Christmas shopping and he walks out of the store with
Robert Duvall's character, yeah.
And he walks out with the sled in his hand. That's Polk's.
Oh, that was Polk's.
Yep, that's Polk's.
Folks, I think
I got to meet that guy once.
Who?
Really?
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, Mr. Polk. I got to meet him once.
Oh, okay.
Whoa. Back up the frickin' truck here. Ken, I've known you for going on 30 years. You never mentioned knowing Mr. Polk.
I didn't know him. I got to talk to him for a little while, I guess. He was...
Excuse me, semantics. You never told me you even met the... Okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to need a second here. If you remember the Batman with Jack Nicklaus after he shoots Bob. Bob, I'm gonna need a second. Hold on, folks. I'm having a moment here. Ken,
I knew both of them. I used to sell them.
Really?
Yeah, when I worked at Lesney AMT, I used to sell them.
So you met Mr. Polk personally?
They had a warehouse in Jersey City that had stuff that went back to the 50s.
I love this channel.
It was like walking back in time in the hobby industry.
Hold that thought, Steve. I'm going to loop back to you, but first, Ken,
Yeah, what?
tell us your story, and after the show's over, you're going to tell me why you never told me this before.
Okay.
Wait till he tells you.
Yeah,
that somehow
think
it's
you
related.
know a guy.
All right. There. Okay. When I used to live in Pembroke Pines, which is between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and way off to the west, there's a
Hold
model
on.
train
Yes,
park.
Craig, that counts. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a model train park there. I'm trying to think of what the name of it was now. Anyway, they had the kind of train that I think it was called 1.5 scale, which is 1.5 inch to a foot. It's big enough that you could actually sit on and ride. And they had a train there like that. And they also had several G gauge tracks out there as well. And I have some of those. And I don't have a whole lot of track, nor do I have any place to
Ken,
set
get
it
to
up
the point
keep
where
it.
you met Mr. Polk.
I'm getting to that part. Shut up.
I may go off on tangents, but at least I get there.
Mr. Tangent here.
Don't steal
Yeah,
my
okay.
line.
Fine. Okay, so I took my G-Gates. I had an engine, an SD45, and I had a container car that I took with me to see if I could run it on their track. So I got there, and I asked the guy, I said, hey, would it be all right if I run my engine in my car? And he said, yeah, sure. He said, oh, by the way, the guy sitting behind you made your engine. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about?
How old were
He
you
said,
at this
yeah.
time?
What do you mean, how old was I at the time?
How old were you?
I don't know. This is maybe 3-4 years ago.
Oh, I thought we were going back to your childhood. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. I am so confused. Okay.
Right, because I lived in South Florida in my childhood.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought we were in New York and we were talking about Polks.
I'm talking about meeting the guy. I didn't say anything about his.
Okay,
his
folks,
store.
this is what happens when you fall asleep during a staff meeting.
I thought they were dead by now.
Wait, Polk is still alive?
No, he's dead. He died.
Okay, so this was at the train club. Okay. I'm
No,
sorry.
it wasn't at the train club. It was at the other club that was there in Pembroke Pines.
Hold on, time out. John? No. Okay, continue.
What's John doing? I'm
Just
not
keep
reading
reading
the
the comments section. Look at Fast Sports.
Armax and
Oh,
Ken-
Steve's
No!
just laughing away. Just yucking it up.
No, never happened. Not gross. God. No, please. Anyway,
You're going to need
so
more grown-up juice.
I can't quite think of the name of the other place. Anyway, so I'm sitting there watching my train run around, and this very distinguished older gentleman behind me starts talking to me, about my train, and I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. So as I talked to him more and more, I discovered, okay, other guy wasn't kidding when he said he made my train. This is Mr. Polk. He's the guy that owned the company that made my Aristocraft engine. Fascinating guy.
Well, that's the same guy from Polk's Hobbies.
He's the guy that owned Polk's Hobbies.
How old was he?
He must have been 100.
He was pretty old. He looked like he was probably late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around
They
in
were
there.
old in the 70s.
Are you sure this wasn't his son?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, anyway,
You see, Diane
So-
Smith's got it.
so
Only I get to be long-winded.
so they had this 5-story store on Fifth Avenue.
Hey, Chris, I'm trying.
It was like on 30th Street, right down from the Empire State Building. And they were, they had their own stuff that they imported. And they were very, very influential in the hobby business because a lot of the manufacturers would ask them what they thought before they were going to come out with something. And,
Well, I imagine they were probably, as retailers go, they were as big as they got.
Yeah, well, they were like the big kahuna retailer hobby store, because I mean, you were in Manhattan. You were in a 5-story building. I mean, it doesn't get more high end than that,
No
in the hobby
kidding.
business. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Now the other person group that was in North Jersey was the big distributor called Kramer Brothers.
Now you've talked
Kramer,
about them, so elaborate, please.
the Kramer Brothers started out in the Baltimore area, and they were the ones that got together with Lou Glazer, and they actually put skin in the game and told him what to come out in the beginning. And if you read the Graham book, they explain all that.
I have the Graham book right over here. What? Refresh my memory.
The Revell book.
Yeah, no,
They were the ones who told him, because he consulted with them, because they were a big hobby distributor.
Uh-huh.
They were the ones who told them to come out with the Wisconsin Battleship, which was like their
Yes.
really first big plastic kit.
I mean, they'd done the cars, but they'd gotten them from
Right,
from Gowland, I think.
They'd done those, and they were like, okay. But he was the one who got them to come out with the Missouri. And then they consulted on other things as things rolled along, and then they were a big influence on Lou Glazer in the beginning years. And then they moved up to Northeast Jersey. They were still a prominent hobby distributor. They had a huge distribution facility out by Parsippany, New Jersey.
I'm trying to, I thought I'd, hold on. Well, so how, okay, Steve, without getting into your personal data, how old were you when you started going to Polks?
Excuse me? What?
How old were you when you started going to Polks?
Oh, like 4.
Oh, okay. So, and how? What was the last time you remember going to them?
The last time I was there was like in the 80s.
When did Polks cease operations?
It was like in the 90s.
Okay, so they actually had a pretty long run.
Yeah, they had a good run, and then they sold the building and closed down, and it was sort of a sad day in the hobby industry, because these guys were kind of like titans of the retail end of the business.
Well, that's what I thought. I'm putting a picture up here. It'll be up in a few seconds, but it's about the only photo I could find of Polks. It only shows the ground floor. But I mean, in my mind, I'm trying to see this place with all these different floors, all this different stuff. When you if you can, kind of share the experience a little bit.
Well, you, as you can see from the picture that you just put up, it had a fairly large front window, so they had a lot of display space, and they would display, a variety of, categories in the window. And you'd go in, and they had an elevator, and they had stairs, and you could pick the floor that you want. So if you went up, let's say, to the model kit floor, which I think was the 3rd floor, and you'd go up there, and I mean, it would be wall to ceiling model kits, and they had salespeople who would help you. I mean, it was like a department store for hobbies. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers when you used to go to a department store to shop, you'd get somebody who would assist you. And that's what it was like there. But I mean, they always had the most cutting edge of every hobby item. I mean, they had radio control stuff, back in the 50s.
Wow, that was expensive stuff back then.
It was. Well, it was in Manhattan. People had money. But it was quite the store. I mean, I don't ever remember anything like that again. I mean, the new, the new generation of hobby stores are completely different. They're usually all on one level. They're usually in a strip center. They're not in an urban area. I mean, that's why when you go to the Red Caboose, it's like a throwback to that era.
I love that place. Only been there once, and I love it.
Yeah. I mean, now that place has been there since I was a young boy. I mean, I used to go there when I was a kid. It hasn't changed a bit.
Guys, if you are in the New York area, especially if you're in Manhattan, and you have got any way of getting down to the Red Caboose, you won't be disappointed if you're a kit model guy or model railroad guy. Trust me on this. I did a video about it. It's buried somewhere in the channel.
Now, if you look at the street sign on the pole in the right-hand corner of the picture, it says West 32nd Street. You go up the next block, that's the Empire State Building.
God, I want to, I've never, it makes me want to weep for the days of yore.
Oh, it was spectacular, and then I talked about before, and I know other people have talked about, and then you went up to FAO Spores, which was on 58th Street and 5th Avenue. And it was one floor above the street. You had to go up, you take an escalator and went upstairs. They had Skoelectric, they had Corgi, they had Lesney stuff, they had Schuko, they had all the stuff that was from Europe. They really didn't have domestic brands. And, you looked at this stuff and it was like, wow, I'd never seen any of this before. It was like a whole different level of product.
I realize that most of the viewers of this channel can appreciate everything you're saying because of our generation. But for whoever may be out there that is, I'll say under 40, all right? It's hard. I know it's hard to appreciate how these places, what a place they held in the heart of the industry, because you have to understand. I remember guys talking about. I remember getting excited in 1971 when my brother came back from the World Jamboree in Japan. I think it was 71, and he brought me. Ironically, of the 3 kits he brought me, 2 were made in America. One was an IMC. It was a Jet Ranger, but he brought me a Tamiya remote, not radio, remote controlled, because it had wires that came out the back end. Tamiya T-34 Russian tank, and I promptly lost the instructions. A friend of ours built it for us. He did a masterful job on it, and he had the remote worked and everything. Had the batted 4 D-cell batteries in the remote pack, and I ran. God, how many batteries I burned up with that thing! But the fact that this came from Japan, now, even in 1971, getting a Tamiya kit, when you would go to a hobby shop and see a Tamiya kit, or in my case, a local dime store, they would have a bunch of Aurora, some Revell, some Monogram, and maybe 2 Tamiya kits. And you bought it just because it was Tamiya. It was hard to get this stuff back then. There are guys talking about in the 60s and even the early 70s that there were hobby shops in California that had befriended international airline pilots who, when they would go to Japan, they'd buy up all the Tamiya kits they could, bring them back to the hobby shops in California and sell them. It was a different world. You didn't just get a Heller kit or a Tamiya kit or a Hasegawa like you do today. It was a whole...
You showed the picture of the Yamato, which is being made by MRC. Now, in the 70s, MRC was mainly known for slot car accessories.
Yes.
They made controllers.
That's right.
They made, pieces of slot cars. They made that kind of stuff. MRC was the exclusive U.S. distributor for Tamiya.
It's funny you mention that because MRC, this, they got a thing for giant scale. This and the big Mercury capsule,
yep,
are really the only 2 kits. I did. By the way, guys, I did a history video on MRC, and when I was researching, I was shocked to learn out that they didn't really do models. Ken, are you there?
Yep, sure.
Because you just lit up on my cell phone like that wanted me to hang up or something.
Well, when I was at the show and I was talking to the guy about the Yamato, on top of the box, which you don't see, is that Gemini capsule, that Mercury capsule model.
Okay, talk about that, because I'm going to run grab mine off the shelf. I'll be back in just a second.
So, we happened to discuss the kit and what a great kit it was, and he discussed how it's been in the line for quite a lot of years and it still has a lot of traction. And I said, well, weren't you guys supposed to make a Gemini one and an Apollo one? And he said, yes, we were. He said, but the guy who was the one who did it and was working on it, he left the company, and he said it just kind of died on the vine, which is a shame because those would have been really great kits to complement that one, because that's a really good kit. Yeah, and a lot of times that happens. You get you get somebody who champions a category of products, and it gets to a certain point, and then management changes, somebody leaves the company, new person takes over, wants to take the brand in another direction, and these things get lost in the cracks and never get brought to market, and there's a lot of stuff that dies on the vine like that, unfortunately.
Somebody was talking about MRC was famous for railroading
Yep.
transformers. Well, they also made radio control transmitters as well and receivers. I had a 5-channel one back when I was in high school.
They still make transformers. They had them in their booth at the show, and they had some accessories, train accessories also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they didn't stay in the RC
No.
transmitter stuff for very long. That was a very competitive market. The Japanese really had that market cornered.
I'm looking at the comments, and a lot of the people are commenting, the troopers are commenting about different hobby shops that they remember frequenting, throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be amazing to see how many of those stores are not in business or are still in business. And my chance is there's more of them that aren't in business anymore than are. Because the hobby shop is kind of like, it's like the nickel Coke. It's kind of having a hard time staying around.
Yeah, because there's a lot of competition from the internet. People buying stuff and selling stuff.
Well, Ken, that's only a fraction of it. There is competition, and here's my my MRC Mercury. By the way, this very model made the Fine Scale Modeler website, not the magazine, but the website. And I did it as Friendship 7.
If you made that so that it would hold liquid and you could fill it up with your adult drink and put a little tube up through the escape rocket, you'd never have to leave the desk.
So
it could be alcohol powered.
There are alcohol powered rockets.
Well, Chuck, to answer Chuck's comment, most are gone. The owners wanted to retire. Part of the reason is the smart owners owned the building.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. That's.
And they got to the point where they figured it was smarter to sell the building and take the money and walk away than it was to continue.
Good. But Ken, I want to address something Ken said. Although you're not wrong, but I mean, you're not entirely wrong. You are right about the what you said earlier about why the kit, it's been on decline. But the simple fact is that modeling, unfortunately, apparently appears to be more of a generational thing. Our generation built models, but the new generation, what's really killing the internet, what you were talking about, the internet killing mom and pop shops. I do know for a fact that Hobby World here in Jacksonville ceased operations. And I talked to the owner. He told me point blank that 63%, I believe that was the number he used. I know it was 63 or 67. I think it was 63% of his business disappeared to internet business. So yes, the internet has not been kind to kit model to the mom and pop shop, but that's only part of the equation. The simple fact is that kit models, because he was talking about, because he also did model railroad, model rockets. I mean, he did everything. RCs, the works. He was like Hurricane Hobbies. He had
If you look at, and this is a discussion that we have all the time, why are there no young people getting into the hobby? Why are there less hobby stores? A, it's the internet. But B, if you look at everybody who's around our era, who are the big hobbyists, most of the stuff that we built growing up as kids were things that either were from the war, which was very fresh when we were young kids.
Our parents and grandparents all fought in one of the world wars or Korea.
But you read about them, you read books about them, you watched newsreels. They had a lot of shows on television that recap things that happened during the war, and you saw the tanks and the jeeps and the planes and all that stuff. Yeah. And then you had things like airliners were becoming very popular, so you were always reading and seeing about airliners, and then they changed over to jets, and all of the X-planes that was always in the news. It was aware and it was around you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, with the internet, you got sensory overload about everything. And to be quite honest with you, the price of a kit, by the time you get finished buying the kit, the paint, the glue, can run you north of $50.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, and you got to build quite a few of them to get to a point where you're sort of proficient at it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a kid and you're looking at, it's going to cost me $50 to make this model of at item X, or am I going to buy this video game for $39.95 that I can bring home, plug in, and immediately play it and play it forever? Yeah, I'm pretty much buying the video game because there's less work involved in it. I can just get instant gratification, and then that's a big part of it.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because the instant gratification generation is what my parents called our generation, and they weren't wrong. And there is a 1968, I think, episode of Dragnet, and half you guys already know where I'm going with this, where Friday had to arrest a bunch of teenagers who'd run off to live in the woods and start their little commune. And
I remember that show.
Oh, yeah. But he's telling them that he and Gannon, and of course you got to remember that they were probably born in the 20s, so they're telling the kids of the late 60s, they're lamenting to them, you know, you don't know what it's like. You've never seen a mastoid scar or a quarantine sign. You want transportation, insert a key, turn it, press a pedal. You want communication, pick up a phone, dial 7 numbers. You want entertainment, turn on a TV. These are the exact same things my parents said about our generation. And guys, I'll bet everyone watching this thing right now has heard the following from one of their parents or grandparents. When I was your age, we had to make our own fun.
Yeah. You know, William brings up an important point here in the comment. When we were younger, models were sold everywhere.
Yes.
They were in the drugstore.
Yep.
They were in the hardware store.
They were in the grocery store and gas stations had them.
Yeah. You could find them just about any retail operation you walked into.
The places I went to get models, and we're going back to the mid-'70s, by the way. This isn't, that far back. Actually, even the late 70s. Crouch Rexall Drugs. McCroy's and Christo's dime stores. Walmart. Oh, and TG&Y, for anybody who remembers that group. Toys, games, and yo-yos.
I have an ad that ran in like Life magazine, which was the big publication of the 50s and early 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an ad from Revell to buy your model kits at Woolworths.
I used to whoa, come back here. Whoa, what did I just do? Woo. Almost had a disaster. Trying to be all pretty, make the background look cool, and almost created a disaster.
I didn't have the money to paint it, so whatever color it came in, that's what color it stayed.
I did that all the time. Most of my models weren't painted.
Or you used your mother's nail polish.
No, she wouldn't let me near that.
I didn't even think of doing that. I'm not as devious as you guys, but I'm working on it. I thought a model looked cool if I had some black paint to paint the engine and tires. And if you watch my history of kit models video, which is, by the way, one of my top scoring videos, I think 300-something thousand views. But if you watch that, when I show me and my brother's models at the end, you will see a blue Fokker triplane, which on the box art I think it was blue. But I was so proud of that model that I went out, back when you had film in a camera that you had to go get developed at the drugstore, which, by the way, was the same Crouch Rexall drugstore where I bought some of my models. They seem to prefer Aurora. I was so proud of that model that I took not one, but 2 photographs, a side view and a front view. Of course, I waited till the sun was going down because I didn't know anything about cameras. But the tires and the engine are painted black. And I just thought, man, it was ready for Fine Scale Modeler magazine. And I kid you not, as a little kid, my goal in life was to get a photo in Fine Scale Modeler magazine. And I will not lie, a couple of years ago, when this came out, this is the April 2020 edition, and they had my little Aurora Cherokee in the viewers build section. Hold on, I'm going to make you guys look at it. But, I mean, seriously, I damn near cried. I was like, I made it, and that's why I got the Dreamberry, Daryl, to, I wrote the lyrics to that song, I'm in Fine Scale Modeler. I don't think I've ever been prouder of anything in my life. Not my honorable discharge from the Army, not my, which just pretty much means I served in the Army and didn't smoke crack or hit an officer. Come on, it's in here somewhere. Where the hell's it?
I didn't say get you an honorable discharge.
There it is, my Aurora Cherokee. We actually did two songs with it. One of them was, or maybe it was the same one about eBay, but there it is, right there. That's on my shelf.
You showed that picture in some of your pre-startups for your live broadcast too.
Oh, it is. The one where I'm graphic pointing and little gluey's on there with me. That's by the coffee cup. That's that airplane. Boy, I tell you what, I put a lot of work into that too. I don't think I ever put any more work into a 14-piece model in my life. That model has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, about 14 pieces. I mean, I bought it a bunch of times as a kid because we had Cherokees at the airport. And I swear as God is my witness, some things, it's amazing the stuff you remember, okay? But when I was a kid, two of my favorite kits were the little Aurora Cherokee and the Aurora Aztec. And part of it was because these kinds of airplanes were at my little local airport in the dinky town I grew up in, so I could relate to them. And I just thought they were pretty. And for those who might remember, that was when Aurora, the Cherokee, the Jet Commander, the Aztec, and the Skymaster was a Hawk kit. Anyway, point is that they had photographs instead of box art. And because I've given you guys the whole story on that, Aurora was going to put them in production, then it wasn't. And they had a project manager that kept pushing. Finally, they decided to put them in at the last minute. They needed images of the box art. They didn't have time to hire an artist, so they just called Piper and said, hey, can you send us some pictures? And, of course, they sent the most modern photos they had. The kits had languished for a couple of years, so they were actually a couple of years out of date, which is why the Cherokee in the box has 2 side windows, but the one in the photo has 3 side windows.
You can thank Andy for that.
Oh, no. I asked Andy about that, and he was adamant that he was working on the cars. That wasn't his fault. But
Chris Pacer says he has that magazine. He has that issue.
Now,
How cool is that?
I've done a couple of videos about that, but the point I'm driving at is that I bought the Aztec, the Piper Twin, twice as a kid. And I opened up the box and it had the clear parts from the Cherokee, which didn't fit. I never had a Piper Aztec with the correct clear parts to it. So both my Piper Aztecs, I didn't waste any time trying to get paint for them. They were just white Aurora models with no clear parts, sitting on the shelf with me just, I still love playing with them. But I was like, what was this, made on a Friday afternoon after lunch? I mean, how is it that twice Aurora got the wrong freaking glass with the kit? And, somewhere there was a minimum wage Aurora employee who just didn't give a crap and zipped for quality control. And, of course, this would have been in, let's see, 71, 72. Well, it wasn't the worst.
Maybe somebody dropped the 2 boxes on the way to the assembly line.
I don't know, Ken, but it happened twice.
Well, that was pre-Diker.
Oh, and that was before Diker. Yeah.
You got to remember the how should I put it, the environment in Aurora. I mean, it was just get the stuff out the door quick.
Yeah.
Make it quick, make it dirty, get it out the door. That was it. They didn't pay a lot of attention to dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Fair to say. And I
They wouldn't make very good programmers.
I'll tell you something.
Craig just commented about some of the Matchbox kits 3-color. Craig, the reason that the Matchbox kits and even some of the AMT car kits in the late 70s were multicolor, that was their way of trying to get younger kids into the hobby because they didn't have to paint them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't successful, but that was the mindset of management at the time, is that if we have these things molded in color and the kids make them and they look decent out of the box, they'll buy more.
If I was a kid and I saw that, I would have bought it.
Well, the problem is that it kind of turned off the hardcore hobbyist.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. But,
They were trying to get to one demographic and lost another.
Yeah, and they viewed them as toys.
Yeah. Well,
which was wrong because they were really nice kids.
Yeah. Well, I want to show you guys something. I mentioned I went to Hurricane Hobbies earlier today. And Ian, I'd seen this before. He was showing me this model that a local model maker had made for him and gifted to him. And it didn't even cross my mind that the guy gave him a model of a Hurricane because it's Hurricane Hobbies. Now, the model builder who did this and you can tell by the photographs, I was giving this a real close look. He did an award-winning build here, complete with the base and everything of the English countryside, scaled down.
Nice. That is nice. Yeah.
Oh, it's flawless. I was literally giving it the IPMS judge, critique, looking at it up close in person. And you can't see, none of the seams are visible. All of the tinting and everything is subtle. The canopy is crisp. The pilot is well done. The exhaust pipes look right. Even the propeller spinnies are painted right. And then something caught my eye. You will notice that the smoke burnishing is on the middle of the wing on top, not behind the guns. But you will not in front of the guns, but you will also notice that the red decal over the guns is pristine. Now, I'm sure most of you guys know that in the Battle of Britain and during the Second World War, the British used to put red, basically glued cloth over the guns when they would service them every time. And they did this because they flew off of grass fields, to keep crud and crap from getting in the barrels or anything that might impact the bore. So they would slap this on there real quickly. And that's why if you look at the old archival footage of British fighters firing their guns, you often see these pieces of cloth flapping around in the muzzle blast. Well, that means that this airplane hasn't fired its guns yet on this mission, but you see the dark sooting over the top of the guns. And I immediately knew why. You see, the gun barrels on the Hurricane and the early Spitfires, before they went to the 20mm cannons, when they were shooting the 303s, the muzzles were recessed in the wing for aerodynamics. Okay? And when they loaded the guns, they loaded, unlike the Spitfire, where they were in cartridge boxes that went in from the bottom, on the Hurricane, both the 20mm on the left and the British 303s on the right, the guns loaded from the top of the wing. That's how you reservice the guns. So when the guns fired, being recessed in the wing, all the black smoke came out of the reloading compartment, the reloading doors in the middle of the wing, which shows the kind of research that this guy did when he built this. And I was really, really impressed by that. And in the upper right, that's one of the early Hurricanes. That might be a fixed blade wooden prop, but it's a 2-blade. So it's a real early Mark I. The one on the left, they're loading 20mm, but it still goes in to the top of the wing. That kind of, and of course you look at the aging he did to it, and the rivet heads are exposed, where the paint's flaked off. Beautiful, beautiful job. And I'm
just really impressed what he did with the prop. That is just, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those brass spinnies. I used them on the Hawker Heart, I think. But I just felt that was worthy. I was looking at, I'm going to talk about that on live stream. He's a local Jacksonville guy, and I'd used this picture before, and apparently he was, real thrilled that I did. And I don't know his name. I haven't met him yet. According to Ian, he's a super nice guy, and he does magnificent work. And Ian keeps that under the glass right there at the counter in the shop because it's Hurricane Hobbies. And
so now you take this kit that you walk into the store and you see in the store. Now, when was the first time that you or any of the listeners as a young modeler went into a hobby store and saw some finished kits that were built ups and you looked at them and you said, boy, I can make mine like that? That's a big stimulus to a builder, especially a young builder, that, with a little bit more effort, and if I learn some more techniques, I can make my stuff look like that.
It's funny you should mention that, Steve, because I talked to Ian about donating some of my models to hang up in the store. But
and he saw them and he said, no, don't bother.
No. Ow. Hurtful but true. No, actually, what it was the store is pretty packed. He doesn't really have, and I said, well, you can hang them in the ceilings. But typical of the modern times, the air flows overnight in the store, at the AC.
Yeah.
And he can't have anything hanging from the ceiling because it'll set off the burglar alarms.
Yeah, the motion. Yeah.
And the motion detectors, I should say. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Fine, Ian, that was the perfect dodge for not putting one of my models in your shop that I've ever heard. But he's right. But anyway, I think keeping that on display is exactly that. Come on, kid. This is what somebody did. I challenge you to, to get to that skill level.
You can get there. A little more work.
He does keep some finished like model RCs. He does have a couple of models on display, but they're on stands. I know what you mean. Having a couple of, Monogram used to sell their kits with a finished model to put on display.
Yes. Well, all of the, Revell, they did the same thing. I mean, for every, I think, 144 kits you bought, you got it built up with a cardboard display. Remember those cardboard displays that they used to have in the stores with the built-up model?
Well, they didn't normally have them where I was at, but I do know what you're talking about.
I mean, you'd go in and see this display. I mean, the heartbreak of the whole thing was you couldn't get the display. The little cardboard thing that it was on. You'd get the kit, but you couldn't get the display, which were really cool. And those things are primo for collectors.
Oh, God, yeah. I see them go for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on eBay.
Yeah, it's insane what those things go for. If you watch the video from Andy's friend and the boys from Atlantis, Phil
Separano,
or
yes, I've seen Phil's stuff. Yes,
yeah,
guys, if you haven't seen Phil Separano's video on Aurora, go look at it. He's got to have the best collection in the world.
I've never seen that many store displays in one place at any time.
Well, he had the good sense to grab them when people were just throwing them away.
He sought them out and bought them.
Yeah. Don't even started on how you got that second Godzilla mold, and God bless him, he sent me one which I built up with the Metal Luna. And speaking of beautiful models,
when I was just a kid for you.
Oh yeah.
I showed it to you. I sent you a shot. The boys from Atlantis are repopping that lighthouse kit with the base.
Yeah, that's got it. Yeah, you got to have a monster to go with a lighthouse.
You got to have a Godzilla to go with that.
Absolutely, or at least a beast from 20,000 fathoms. I mean, you're a model builder and a kaiju fan when you look at a model of a structure and think, "Where's Godzilla?"
Yeah.
I just want to show this also, speaking of beautifully done models, while I was in Hurricane Hobbies today.
Wow.
What he calls the boat crew came in. These are RC boat guys. That is strip planked wood covered with very thin fiberglass.
It's nicer than the floors in my house.
I just thought that I asked him if I could go. Sure, he was happy. I mean, he was very proud of it, and rightfully so. He brought that in to show it off at the hobby shop, and I was like, yeah, I would too. But beautiful work, and we own that. That's real strip planking too. So
that's nice.
That's artisanship. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Speaking of while I was at Hurricane Hobbies, I photographed something I talked about earlier. I think that the a good way to display 5 or 6 model cars and keep a small footprint in your hobby area is to use the haul-away trailer that will allow you to, for the footprint of strictly a trailer, let you pose a bunch of models. And I thought that'd be, I wouldn't put the covers on them, but that'd be, I almost bought that just so I could pose a bunch of my cars and eat up less, less foot space, But it's all about, buy 6 of those and you display, 20, 30 cars, But in their natural habitat.
Definitely a Duesenberg on a trailer would be quite realistic.
Yeah. Jay Leno's garage, yeah.
Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about $450 right there at retail, filled with the cards.
Well, I got a bunch of them on a shelf. I'm just like, hey, that would.
So what scale is that truck? It doesn't. I can't see it.
It's probably 124.
124 or 125.
Yeah.
By the way, show you guys this picture.
I just sent you a picture.
You sent me a picture?
Yep.
Okay. This photo on the left is a couple of boxes that I packed models in today. In fact, you know what? I'm really showing this out of order. Let me show you this first.
Actually, Tamiya makes a model truck cab kit with a 3-speed transmission.
Yeah, their radio-controlled trucks are phenomenal.
They are out of this world.
And they got 3 different trailers you can put on the thing, too.
Well, I'm showing these pictures now of boxes and models from the Tarbis because I packed a bunch of them in boxes today. I'm not going to go into details. I'm not going to release any information yet because I don't want to jinx it. But the channel and everything, a whole bunch of things, are about to go under a lot of changes here at Max's Models, possibly in the near future, next 3 to 6 months. And I'm forbidden from talking about it for fear of jinxing it. But
can I talk about it?
No, you absolutely cannot. But
no, Ken.
I got that.
I had to start putting some stuff in not storage, but getting it ready for possible relocation. But there may be big things coming on, and I was really worried because when you start packing boxes with model airplanes, they fit all too well. I'm like, that means that anything else I pack in the future is going to be a nightmare when the first box packs easily. But right now, a lot of the models that you guys have given me are temporarily in boxes. But they are still here. They're right there in the garage, or as I like to call it, the Tarbis Lima site. And I'll keep you guys apprised as things happen in the future. But there might be a little elbow room in the Tarbis to work with in the near future. And that would be a weird change of pace. And then I got to figure out if it does come to pass what the heck I'm going to do all this. These are all of my empty boxes up in the attic. And these photos, I couldn't even get to a position where I could do credit. And all these boxes have boxes in them, And I'm like, man, I've built a lot of models lately. It's when you start boxing your stuff up and going up and looking at all your empty boxes, you realize what a busy little boy you've been. But I love it. It's great. And
it's you've just done the easy part. When do you start having to pack the ones that you put together?
Silence, Ken. Silence, I say. You.
I'm not adding anything new to what you just said.
Nothing is happening yet. Nothing is happening yet. Look at me. Nothing is happening yet.
Then why are you putting kits into boxes?
Save storage.
It's organized.
Organizing.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, I should point out they are organized. It's like, in fact, that's the picture I meant to put. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I do have them organized. For example, oh yeah, here's a box, and it's got listed it. Everything by North American. This is all my P-51s, F-86s, F-100s, Navions, T-6, F-20 Tiger Shark, plus a few British aircraft. Okay, so all organized. It's just for safe storage for now. Nothing to see. Move along. Move along.
Then why did you even say anything?
I don't know. I'm having, because I've never been good at being quiet. You should know that by now.
Well, the good thing is at least you know what you lose when you're missing that box.
That's right. Well,
That's true.
They just managed to shoot down the entire Luftwaffe with one misplaced box.
Sluggo said Max is griffing a new crib with indoor tarbis.
The Pentagon can neither confirm nor deny.
Sorry.
Nothing is happening. There's nothing going on. Now,
I didn't say that. Sluggo did.
I didn't say that you said, but I will point out that nothing has changed as far as the group builds or anything else are concerned. Everything is still on schedule like normal. And so, you know what? I'm all out of grown-up juice.
I just sent you a lot. I just sent you a lot of pictures.
Okay, I need more cough medicine. Let me see what we got here.
So what you're saying is you can't do this sober?
Listen,
Yeah, I'm perfectly sober.
thinking,
That's half the
We're all
problem.
about making things simplified, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
I betcha.
So my wife was a nurse. Why don't I see if she has a spare IV bottle and a pole? And this way you could just put it in at the beginning of the show and you never have to leave.
You know, Steve, that's why I like you. I just like the way you think.
Yeah, I mean, it just saves you a lot of steps.
You know, there's not like running an IV drip to make life simple.
I like what Bill Paul says. He says, "There goes Ken again, ruining a perfectly good rant by injecting logic."
This is not the logic zone, Ken. This is the logic-free zone. What is wrong with you?
It's my life. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I guess I'm part Vulcan or something.
You computer guys are too serious.
They really, really are. Okay, by the way,
Seriously?
Ken, we literally said seriously like 3 times.
Yeah. Computer guys are some of the strangest people you'll ever meet.
You don't have to convince me. I was one.
Tell us something we don't know.
Ken, I think you repeat yourself. Hold on, let me plug.
I do not.
You do not what? Here. Okay, I just put it here. Where is it?
Bill had a perfect solution to get a beer hat. Put a bottle on each side with a tube.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, Scratchy says you never have to deal with a hanger if you don't stop drinking.
Oh, by the way, guys,
I bring balance to the force.
I bring imbalance to it.
More like balance to the farce.
Okay, here's one of Steve's photo. By the way, I believe it was Orange Tabby gave me this kit. This is the new Tamiya P-38, and I tell you what, I am going to go refill my cough medicine, and you know what? Oh crap, I can't do that. Steve, why don't you tell them a little bit about the show? And here's the Tamiya P-38, and I'm going to download some of the other pictures, but I am going to disappear myself. Wrong button. There we go.
Go self-medicate.
I'm going to self-medicate. I'll be back momentarily. And you can tell them about this magnificent kit, which I'm going to build, hopefully, before too long.
Well, as I said before, there was about 200 vendors at the show. Variety of categories. I mean, you had kit manufacturers, you had RC manufacturers, RC component manufacturers, die-cast, painting supplies, paint companies, buildings for model railroads, Gundam. I mean, just a broad variety. But the Tamiya booth which was probably 2/3 RC and 1/3 plastics, had this beautiful build-up, one of the build-ups, which was this P-38J. And it had an open unbuilt kit as well as the built kit. And it's a really, really nice kit. And behind it, you can see some text. And they had about a 4-foot high banner that talked about all the history of the P-38, and it talked about the features of the kit. It's a really, really well detailed kit, and got extra drop tanks. It's just a fine kit, as everything from Tamiya is. They also had some armor there. We had airbrush manufacturers. You can barely see it, but in the corner, the picture to the right is the Grex airbrush booth. But it was just the best of the best, of the people who attended. They put their best foot forward. Max is going to show you some pictures of the kits that Andy's Hobby headquarters is going to be bringing in from China, which are just superb kits. The detail is just phenomenal. It's, there's some really good stuff out there that is either out or in the process of coming out. Did you just blow your nose, Ken?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I was just wondering. We don't want to lose anybody else,
Well, I'm going to see if I can download some more of the pictures that he just sent me.
Let's see if we can get a couple of other pictures. So we just
I got to go through a little bit of a process here. Okay, that'll work. Hold it. It's going to. I got to. Okay, now save as and go back to.
By the way,
guys, this is our 73rd live stream.
Max.
Huh?
Steve Kritschmeyer just, comment just moved up. He said he scored a Supernatural 67 Impala 4-door kit.
Oh, yeah, they came out with that recently. Good on him. I would have bought one, except we have the big die-cast job, and then seem a little redundant after that. Okay, Steve here is another Tamiya kit coming up. This is their M18 Hellcat, and I saw an M18 Hellcat for real I did a video with it at the military thing. We have the military museum here, and it.
that was. Oh, I was going to say it looks like a wall.
I'm sorry. Let me transform, fit the screen. There we go.
Wait, before you do that, how appropriate it is. JM said, bought a 148 scale metal version of Vong's P-38 from the Lockheed store in Palmdale. Flew it home in the weapons bay of my 117.
Now there's a universal symmetry in that. But the Hellcat, for those who are unfamiliar, the Hellcat is not a tank. It is a tank destroyer. It has very thin armor, an open top turret, but it is fast. And when I say it is fast, I'm talking like 60 freaking miles an hour. It has a completely different suspension system from like the Shermans and the Lees and all that. It's got a real torsion bar, and this is a World War II vehicle. And it's probably my favorite little American World War II armored vehicle. Their thing was speed is life. They could not take a hit. They would have been obliterated by any of your basic German armor. But German turrets were not known for their fast rotation speeds. And at 60 miles an hour, you'd have been hard-pressed. A German crew would have been hard-pressed to even keep a track on them. If they got seen and got stationary, they get clipped. But, man, that little bugger moved. It is a sports car amongst armored vehicles. And it had a hard-hitting gun, too. It was an amazing little vehicle. We only had them at the last year of the war.
a Corvette of armor.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. They had a low profile because they weren't like the Sherman. They weren't designed for an aircraft radial engine. They actually had, I think, one of the Ford, a couple Ford V8s or something. I forget what the engine was, but it was a clean sheet design. They weren't trying to reuse existing hardware, so they were able to, keep a very low profile, which made it hard to hit. So in armor, there's the triumvirate there of speed, firepower, and protection, and it had speed and firepower, no protection, and that was the trade-off they were willing to make. And as I recall, it had a pretty high survival rate. But so what did you think of the kit?
Sounds like something be a lot of fun to drive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not much fun in the rain.
Nice touring around like some of the urban cities with that.
Yeah, I know a few neighborhoods in the Bronx I'd stay away from in anything less than an Abrams, but still.
Try and carjack this baby. Yeah.
Now, the other thing you got here. Oh, I gotta put fit to screen.
The solo wargaming show. Another fun fact: the all-black 761 Tank Battalion were some of the first to field the Hellcats.
That's right. I forgot about that. I'm gonna put a couple of pictures up here from that you just sent me, and try not to repeat the same photo twice here.
And Craig Swain makes a real interesting point that I was just thinking. So when I was in the armor officer school, they taught us speed, protection, firepower. Pick
right.
two.
Yeah, and it went with speed and firepower. So, Steve, what can you tell us about these kits?
This is a new Chinese kit company that had a couple of tables there and laid out the actual trees with all the parts. And these things were just phenomenally detailed. I mean, they were really, really, really nice kits. Very new molds, a lot of good detail, a lot of parts, so-so package, but phenomenally detailed kits. I mean, that F-104 is just amazing.
Did they have a build-up there, or just the parts?
Not of the F-104. They had a build-up, which I think I sent you a picture of I think they were F-16s.
Oh, hold on. I'll go get them. I just downloaded them, yeah.
Okay.
But keep talking. I'll go find it.
That kinetic kit that's there on the right,
Mm-hmm.
What country makes that airplane?
Pucara?
You talking about Kinetic, the company?
No, we're talking about the kit in the right photo, which is the
Pucara. By Kinetic, yeah. Pucara is it's an Argentine airplane. Those are what they were fighting in the Falklands, and there's actually
so they're not that good because they didn't win.
Well, let me tell you, I have a model Pucara from a company called, I kid you not, the company is Puky, Puky.
There you go. Yep, I've seen their kits. Yep.
And it is a horrible kit. I mean, low detail, lousy fit, doesn't look good. But they were the only Pucara kit made until Kinetic made it. And actually, the Pucara itself is a pretty good little airplane, from what I understand. The Vulcan bombers that bombed the Falklands, that was some of the aircraft they knocked out on the ground because they were a threat. But it's a counterinsurgency plane. But I forget if it was, was it Venezuela? Argentina? No. It was, it was one of the South American countries that flew the Pucara, and no, that was a Bronco. I'm sorry, that was shot down by an F-16, but somebody caught it on like a cell phone camera. You can see it on YouTube, and the F-16's like in low speed mode, but an F-16 it can still turn even at low speed, and the Pucara never had a chance. And it was one of those South American revolutions, but
so it was used in the Falklands.
That's where, but it was also, yeah, it was using the Falklands.
Which was sort of England's Grenada.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad way to put it.
But look at those F-16s.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, can you move it over a little? Because we're getting half of one.
I'm moving it. I just saw it. I'm sliding it over right now.
Okay.
What scale are those?
I don't know. But they're really nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the different weapons they have on there. And
Yeah, they even got
those
the
look
radars
nice.
and everything under the cones and stuff. And
Yeah, look at the cone, how it tilts sideways. You can see the radar. It's got both seats in there.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, these are really nice kits. I mean, I was
AMRAAMs and laser guided bombs, or like GBU-15s, and yeah, it's got a nice ordnance selection.
I was talking to the Chinese people from the company, and asking them if they got them from stolen U.S. blueprints.
Did you really say that?
No, Steve. They're stolen Japanese
I looked at the kid.
They're stolen Japanese blueprints from Tamiya. But you any idea what their price point's going to be?
They were pretty expensive. They were like $79 and $100.
Is that 148
retail?
Scale?
Yeah, that was like the MSRP.
And well, still, I'm glad to see that they're.
You get what you pay for, and these were definitely worth the money because, looking at the build-ups, I mean, there's no putty. They all seem to fit together pretty good. And I looked at the trees. The trees are really crisp, and the details really good. So, I have no desire to think that it doesn't fit together as well as it could.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I see. There it is, the lighthouse.
Now,
dun, dun, dun.
I was going to say, dun, 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 dun.
Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
One of the best Godzilla gags I ever heard. I mean, you got to be a model builder to look at a lighthouse and start talking about Godzilla. Yeah.
You would not believe how many people came up to the booth and said,
Where's Godzilla? Kid? I absolutely believe that.
I took one look at this thing, and I called back to the office and said, why isn't this being boxed with the Godzilla kit? As it gives
Rick and Peter missing a given opportunity here.
Yeah. And I got, we don't have the license anymore. I said, well, call Toho and get it again.
Get the freaking license. Or, if you want to remember your old B-horror movies, was it The Monster of Sierra Pedros or Diedros or something?
Diedros Blancas.
Thank you! God, I knew you would remember. You're not going to... Okay, Steve, this you're going to love. The only reason that I know that is because last night I'm clicking through YouTube and I see Chiller Theater, Zachary, and I click on it and that's the movie he was showing and I watched it. With Zachary and with the cut-up movie and everything. And it said, Channel say it started off with the old black and white from Jeddah in New York City. And I was like, Steve, this is the kind of stuff Steve would watch. I'm going to watch this.
Oh, God, yes. I would have loved it. But this is going to be a Q1 release.
I'm going to get one.
I had two guys who came over and fought for it. They said, I want it. No, I want it. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll give it to one of you, but you two work it out between you because there's only one. And they kind of did a coin flip, and this guy said, here you go.
and the guy said to throw it away when you were done. I'm like, throw away a model at a model show? What are you, nuts?
No, I was like, what? I had people coming by. You want any of this stuff? Really? Oh, okay. So all you got to do is paint it. Here you go.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I called Andy at Andy's Hobby headquarters yesterday. He was gone. I called today. Believe it or not, their retail outlet's closed on the weekends, which shocked me. I'm trying to get him on the show. I'm sure at some point we'll hook up. He's a busy guy, but he does have. I think it's who is it that's doing his molds for him?
I can't remember
Tacome,
the name,
I think.
but it's some Chinese company.
Yeah, I think it's Tacome.
Yep. I sent you pictures.
Yeah, I'm putting them up now. They'll be up in just a second. Got to remember we're on like a 20-second lag here. But look at that. I mean, that is some incredible freaking detail there. Even
The
the
detail is just insane. I mean, I was
Wow.
talking to him and looking at him. I could not believe what these things are. They're not going to be cheap. I'll tell you that.
I think they're
Wow,
like
even-
169
Even
or
has
something.
the chain on the inside of the door that the guy can pull the door back down with.
Mhm.
Holy
Yeah.
cow!
Oh yeah. Oh, this thing is phenomenal. And there, behind it, you can see there's a slide of it. There's a Tiger tank that's just unbelievable.
Well, no, hold on. No, the thing you sent me was a Panzer Mark III. Now, here, I'm going to go get the
okay.
picture. A Tiger's much bigger.
Okay.
But for what it's worth, the GIs in World War II, every German tank they came ago, they reported getting hit by a Tiger. This is a Mark III Panzer with the long barrel 50 millimeter, which for its time was probably one of the very best tanks in the world. You know, people kind of laugh, go, oh, it had that little 50 millimeter gun. When that thing came out in 41 or 1939, it was a Tiger. You know, I mean, that gun was perfectly adequate for taking out the
Look at that thing.
Yep.
That is just ridiculous.
Now, real quick armor history, and I'm probably going to get a little of this wrong, but this was a pre-war design, which is why it didn't have a bigger gun than it did. But this was arguably the best tank in the world when it came out in the mid to late 30s. All right, I don't have the exact date when it came out, but there was believe it or not, the actual kind of quote unquote Tiger tank at the outbreak of the war, one could argue was the French Charbie, which had two guns. It had a sponson gun, which I think was a 57 millimeter, and it had like a 37 millimeter in the turret. And it had very thick armor. And this tank, the 50 millimeter Mark III, could not deal with it. The Germans knew that, so they started upgunning them. And then they made the Mark IV, which is this very tank, stretched with two more road wheels. If you ever see a German tank that looks like this, and you're trying to figure out if it's a Mark III or Mark IV, just count the wheels. 6 road wheels, it's a Mark III. 8 road wheels, it's a Mark IV. That's at a glimpse. And the Mark IV also had a short barrel 75, which they later replaced with a long barrel high velocity gun, which could take out even the Charbie, but by then they conquered France. But people look at these tanks and go, oh, that's such a dinky little tank. Not when it came out, it wasn't. When you think of Tigers and Panthers, that stuff came by later, 40, 41, 42. And don't forget, the British knocked out a Tiger very early in the war and captured it, and that's the one that's at Bovington. I think it's 131. That's the one that the only running Tiger in the world at Bovington today is the one that the British knocked out and caught in the desert. So even the big Tiger was not, invulnerable. Yeah, it had a lot, 4.5 inches of frontal armor. This thing had a couple inches, but a Sherman, this thing was on par more or less with a Sherman, especially when it had the 76 or 75. And it and a Sherman could knock each other out. When the Krauts introduced the Panther and the Tiger, the rules kind of changed.
At the picture of the Jeep.
Yeah, let me go get it.
Herman said some of the early variants of the Mark III have 8 wheels, but few of those were made.
That makes sense. That would have probably been sort of a transitionary version until they just changed it to the Mark IV. And that makes perfect sense. That sounds like your standard evolutionary. One thing that a lot of people have trouble is Jeep is insane. A lot of people have trouble understanding is it's easy for our minds to organize things. Mark III had this, Mark IV had that. The problem is development of hardware is never quite so crisp. There's these evolutionary intermediate scales that everyone kind of wants to just forget exist, even though they're the glue that connect the two. But people want to kind of forget they exist because then it muddies the water and makes it complicated.
Hey, Max, you could have had one of those models to tell you how to put your Jeep together correctly.
I tell you what, Ken, you probably could assemble a real Jeep from one of these kits. Which, by the way, guys, Ken helped me change the the fuel pump on my Jeep after I left it stranded in the middle of the road in it.
And almost caused an accident, too.
Almost! Does not count.
That's right.
Unless it's horseshoes.
You want to tell
Hand
them?
grenades,
Yep,
and
hand
small
grenades, horseshoes, and atom bombs.
small thermonuclear weapons.
Would you like to share that story, Ken, while I enjoy a little more of my cough medicine?
Yeah, go take your cough medicine. Yeah, Max. I'd never ridden in Max's Jeep. I'd been over there many times.
And I made the first ride memorable, by God.
That he did. So I'd seen videos of it and seen pictures, and he talked about it a lot. And I finally got over there and said, "Okay, let's go take it up to the store." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds like fun." So we get in the thing, and we're not very far away from the house, maybe a mile at the most.
No, a quarter mile.
It was a quarter of a mile. Okay, we didn't get very far. I remember that.
We're on a 2-lane, which had a middle divided, thank God.
Who's telling the story here?
So just fleshing out the story, sorry.
I was getting to that part. Just take care of your cough medicine, okay? Anyway, so we're driving down the road, and all of a sudden the Jeep goes, dies right there in the middle of the road. So he pulls over to the median, and we get out, and Max is thinking, did we run out of gas? Did we what? Yeah, so he lifts up the seat, which is where the gas tank is, and we're looking in there, and there's fuel in there. And I'm like, darn, well, no, we're not. Anyway, so we're trying to diagnose this thing, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. And while we're sitting there in the middle of the road in the median, car goes by, and we hear this screech. And I look up, and somebody had almost run into a telephone pole or something like that. Managed to correct it at the last minute, and I said, Max, we almost caused an accident with somebody, rubbernecking your Jeep out here in the middle of the road. And he goes, ooh. So we pushed it off to the side of the road, walked on back. Did we walk back, or did Monica come get us? I don't.
Did someone tow us back? I forget.
I don't know how we got back to the house or transportation. Anyway, so we We had to push the. That's right. We pushed it back to the house. I think some people helped us too. So we pushed it back to the house. I thought we got
someone to tow us back. I don't remember.
I think they pushed. Anyway, yeah.
Whatever.
Thank God we weren't very far from the house. So we got it back over there, and for diagnosing this thing, we pulled the thing off the carburetor, because I was thinking, why is it not getting fuel when there's in the tank? Sure enough, there's very little fuel coming out. So we went to the store. Max told the guy, we have a 43 Willys. Was that 43. What it was?
43 Willis MB with the L139 flathead, 4-cylinder.
Right. And he looked it up and he says, this is the fuel pump you want. And I was like, really? You got one of, you know what this thing is?
Apparently, they used that engine for so long that
no,
Advanced Auto old, still carries the fuel pump for it.
It was in the system. So he got the fuel pump, took it back, and it fit barely. I mean, it was.
Well, we had that tube that was in the way because the previous owner had made some kind of jerry-rigged system, so it was kind of it was hard to get to the fuel pump. But there were only 2 bolts.
Yeah, and everything on the entire Jeep could be taken apart with a handful of tools, something like that.
It came with an 8-piece wrench set with a couple other tools, and with that, you could tear the whole Jeep apart.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, like remove fenders, drag links.
I was underneath the dash of this thing looking at the wiring and stuff. There's not a lot there, but I could tell by looking at it that it was not original and that it would take quite a bit of effort to get it back to the way it really was, which is why I made the comment about this. You could look at this and you could fix the Jeep the way it was supposed to be.
Yep. Now, the fuel pump had croaked on us. We still had some fuel in the tank. But I believe what happened was we'd run the fuel so low, there was very low pressure. The fuel pump was on the edge and just croaked on us. Yes, it was. Yes, Dale, it was a World War II vintage Jeep, a 1943 Willys. I'll give you guys a quick background on it. I bought it from a guy in Seattle who towed it all the way down here. I bought it on eBay. I kid you not. I pumped a couple of grand into it getting back to World War II configuration, but it was never 100% or even close. But I've got a video out, though, on my channel. You can go look. I think it may. Anyway. But there was no way you were going to make a showpiece out of this. It was too far gone. Now, something you guys have to understand. And I realize today that a 43 Willys is a magnificent collector's item, and we cherish them as the relics that they are. But between Ford making the GPW and Willis making the MB, which, by the way, don't forget, this thing was designed by the Bantam Car Company of Butler, Pennsylvania, which is still in business today making heavy equipment. The Jeeps to the military, we made 600,000 plus Jeeps between late 41, almost 42, and the end of the war in 45. Okay, I did the math, and I think if I remember correctly, Ken, we popped out a Jeep every 22 seconds.
And they were all made by the lowest bidder.
Well, yes, but that was Ford, and Willis, and they took pride in their work. Actually, you know what, Steve? That was not by the lowest bidder. That was when Bantam
government edict, actually.
That's correct. You guys are going to love this. This is about as un-American as you can get, but, times of war, national emergency. We suspend your rights to defend your rights. Oh, that should be a T-shirt. Anyway, one that I would never wear. But
Bantam made the Jeep.
Correct. Bantam designed it, won the contest.
They weren't big enough to produce enough.
Exactly. That's it in a nutshell. The military knew that the government knew there was no way a little dinky company in Butler, Pennsylvania could make the Jeeps they needed. They basically
they got the trailer contract.
They're correct. They made the trailers, which, by the way, are essentially the same trailers the Army used up through the 151 Mutt when I was in the Army. Probably still using today. Hey, it works. It's a trailer. But the Army, the government, took the design. I assume Bantam got some kind of a royalty, but I don't know that. They gave it to Ford and to Willis to manufacture. Ford was ticked off about two things. First off, that the Ford Pygmy did not win the contract. And Willis was just, I think it was just Kaiser Willis. They were just happy to have the work. But Willis made about $450,000 and Ford made about $150,000 to $200,000. But Ford was so irritated that he didn't get the contract, that he didn't pick his vehicle, that he had to make someone else's vehicle, that you can tell a GPW from a Willis MB at a glance because Ford had every single part, nut, bolt, and rivet. Well, I don't think there's any rivets in the Jeep. Stamped with the Ford F script.
But Ford made up for it because he made all the stuff for the Germans in Europe.
And they never bombs the Ford factories in Germany.
No, they did not, because they were next to the Bear factory, where the aspirin came
and everybody
from.
needs
and
their
deal
aspirin.
Was, if you don't bomb the factories, we'll give you aspirin.
War makes for strange bedfellows. Max's Models and History, a YouTube channel. But Chrysler Fiat.
So anyway.
Oh, by the way. Hold on. One more quick tangent. Captain Ted. After the war, when Willis started making the CJ2, which literally means civilian Jeep 2, and the Army called the M-38, which is 95% the same Jeep. It has a 4-speed T95 transmission, and it has the same engine. It has a one-piece windshield, and it has a tailgate, and the spare tire and fuel tank are on the sides. That's how you can tell them at a glance. Watch the opening scene of the movie Patton, and you'll see they pull up in a GPW and a CJ2, which is a post-war Jeep. Came out right at the end of the war. But Hotchkiss, the French company Hotchkiss, made the Willis Jeep, and I think parts are still made in France for it, called the M206. So it stayed in production in France after we quit making it. Okay. Now that I've cut you off, I mend you back.
So look at this kit that Andy's bringing in of the Jeep. I mean, just the detail on the motor is insane. Mm-hmm. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Jeep kit that the motor had such detail to it?
Well, that believe it or not, that MPC kit's pretty good about that, and so is the Tamiya kit. I have two model Jeeps on the shelf. One is the MPC with the 106 recoilless, which I bought as the Godzilla Astro Monster Jeep because the Jeep in the movie had a quick cameo. It's the exact same Jeep, but you get your paper Godzilla, which sold it to me. But
Which
I also
thought was
have
a ripoff, by the way.
what?
Which I thought was a ripoff.
Yeah, they should have put a real plastic Godzilla in there.
Yes.
But I got to admit, the forced perspective, they give you the paper high tension lines that are different sizes. Like, come on, that was still kind of cool in its own silly, cheesy little way. I'm a guy that I love cheese. I love to eat cheese. I love to watch cheese. The cheesier it is, the more I love it. Because cheesy movies and cheesy things like that are made with heart. That's why I look at this horrible, the Starfish Japanese movies and stuff, and I'm kind of, and I'm like, this is so bad. I can't. It's like the painting of Kramer. It's horrible, but I can't stop looking. But I swear to God, Steve, and Ken can back me up with this. I'm looking at this photo and thinking I can identify those parts from the Jeep I used to own. But
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
But by the way, the other Jeep I have was a gift from Ken, by the way, for I think my birthday, which I think was a Tamiya.
Wow, Ken.
And,
Very generous.
Yeah, well,
But
It's good, Fred.
that is one time MPC got it right, and the Tamiya kit, both of them had fully detailed engines. And in both of them, I was building the kit, and I'm thinking, this is just like the actual vehicle. I know what these parts are. And that really changes the way you approach a model when you know what a thing is, And
That's how a lot of us learned how to work on real cars.
In my video about models, I talk about I made the comment, how many people's first hot rod, or engine mechanics was in styrene, and
Yeah, because you look at how the thing goes together, without taking the real one apart. And then when you go to take it apart, you go, okay, yeah, this is how it is.
My God, it's 9 o'clock already?
Yeah.
okay. Keenan asked, Max, do you know why the gas tank is under the driver's seat?
Yes, I do. Because I have
so
both
when
books.
you hit, you
I have the books
flames
All American
immediately.
Wonder 1 and 2, and there's a reason that the driver sits on the gas tank. And believe it or not, that was not a random thing. The designers...
Enlighten us.
Nope. Had nothing to do with lightness, didn't have to do with center of gravity.
No, I said enlighten us.
Oh,
Well, that's when you got hit by the enemy, you immediately burst into flames, so they didn't have to worry about
Actually-
that in the body.
Steve, you're not entirely wrong. Believe it or not, it came under what the engineers designed as single point of failure.
Oh,
If
sorry.
the enemy
But
hits the driver or the gas tank, the Jeep is done for. So put them in one spot as not to create 2 points of failure. I
There you
kid you
go.
not. They wanted
Of course.
all the critical stuff in one spot.
Of course, that one failure just wipes out the whole thing.
Well, that's the
You know.
idea. If they hit any other part of the Jeep besides the engine, it keeps going. If they hit the driver or the gas tank and they're co-located, it only creates a single point of failure. Which,
You
One
want-
goes. If
That-
one goes, why do you need the other one?
guys, that is the cold military math of the situation. I'm not saying I like it, but they weren't wrong.
You know what you never see in a movie about war is these things get strafed by planes, they run over landmines, they get shot at by, you never see the radiator leak.
That's okay, Steve. That's because in the movies it's a derelict Jeep with no radiator.
I mean, the first thing that would go it would be you'd put a hole in the radiator. Never.
John says Tesla works on the same principle.
Well, guys, it's 9 o'clock. I hate to say this, but that's my bedtime, and oh wow, man,
Yeah, right.
we've really been
Come on,
having a
it's
good.
not that time. You just have to take all the empty bottles out and put them in the recycling bin.
Oh. Any other of my personal dark secrets you wish to share? But guys, this has been great. My God, the time flies.
So, Randy just put in Jeep gas tank, Ford Pinto Engineering.
No, the Jeep wouldn't explode if you ran into it.
No, it doesn't explode. It's a sudden disassembly event.
What is it Bob Hope said about the top fighter squadron in Vietnam? He goes, they're the number one parts distributor for MiGs.
Time flies when y'all talking Jeeps.
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough for coming out. I appreciate you putting in the time and everything. Hopefully we'll get Andy in here at some point. And Steve, I want to thank you for all the pictures and everything.
Oh, no problem. The Grex airbrush guy wants to come on, too.
I'd be delighted to have him. I'm sure everybody would be thrilled. Have his people contact my people, and by that I mean have him call me.
You got it.
And you can get my phone number if you want. And the Rat Patrol Jeeps versus tanks, because that always works out well.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
Good odds there.
Yeah. It's only when I go back and watch. By the way, my brother sent me a link to a movie made in 1942 with Noah Beery called Bugle Call. And it's about when the Army, just before the war, when the Army transitions from horses to light tanks. Great footage of the old M2 Stuart light tanks, not the M3, the M2, the early one with the fixed machine guns and everything. And the first
because that really irritated the horses when you mounted those turrets on them.
Yeah, but the first 6 minutes of the movie where the general's explaining to the colonel that you guys are going from horse-mounted cavalry to light armor. And the little diatribe he gives about none of these guys have been with him or gone. Some of them are still walking around with lead from World War I in them. It was actually a very touching first few minutes. In fact, I might grab that link and put it in the comment in the description down here once this thing's uploaded. But I only watched about 20 minutes of it because I had to start getting ready for the live stream. But I was like, how did I never see this movie before?
You are correct, Bill. It is not all useful.
It is what?
Bill just commented, that was fast. I wasn't watching the time. Take care all. Thanks, guys. You're all fountains of knowledge. Not saying that it was useful. That's correct.
I never claimed to be useful to anybody, ever. I'm lucky they pay me where I work now. Well, Steve and Ken, I want to thank both of you for joining in with me tonight.
Thanks for having us on.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Well, I'll say goodnight to you guys and let you get back to your real lives, your regularly scheduled lives. And we'll talk to both of you later.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Good night, everyone.
Communication terminated.
Well, guys, that was great. Again, a big thanks to Steve and Ken for coming out and helping out. And we might have the guy he was talking about from the airbrush company, and hopefully at some point we'll get Andy on board. So I hope you had a good time. I'm going to sign off now. I'll loop a little music. Oh, hold on.
Phone call.
Flight attendant crew tracking. Go ahead.
I have a joke for you. But I don't think
Okay,
it's
go
appropriate
for
to
it.
have on the air.
Wait a minute. I'm still on the air.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me say goodnight
Okay.
to everybody. Turn off the microphone, and then you can tell me the joke. And if it's really
Okay.
good, I'll turn the microphone back on.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Well, guys, take. Yeah, we had the strictest controls here. We, proudly claiming the lowest production quality on the internet. Guys, take care of yourselves. As always, model on.
I am a passenger, and I ride and I ride. I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. You know it looks so good tonight. the passenger. I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I see the bright and hollow sky over the city's ripped back sky, and everything looks good tonight. Singing la 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 la. Get into the car, we'll be the passenger. We'll ride through the city tonight. See the city's ripped back sides. We'll see the bright and hollow sky. We'll see the stars that shine so bright. The sky was made for us tonight. Oh, the passenger, how he rides. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He looks through his window. What does he see? He sees a silent hollow sky. He sees the stars come out tonight. He sees the city's ripped back sides. He sees a winding ocean drive, and everything was made for you and me. All of it was made for you and me, 'cause it just belongs to you and me. So let's take a ride and see what's mine. Singing la 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 la. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He sees things from under glass. He looks through his window's eye. He sees the things he knows are his. He sees a bright and hollow sky. He sees a city asleep at night. He sees the stars are out tonight. And all of it is yours and mine. And all of it is yours and mine. So let's take a ride and ride and ride. Sing la 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 la. Sing la 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 la. I am a passenger, and I ride and I ride. I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. You know it looks so good tonight. I am the passenger. I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I I see the bright and hollow sky over the city's ripped back sky, and everything looks good tonight. Singing la 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 la. Get into the car, we'll be the passenger. We'll ride through the city tonight, see the city's ripped back sides. We'll see the bright and hollow sky, we'll see the stars that shine so bright. The sky was made for us tonight. Oh, the passenger, how he rides. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He looks through his window, what does he see? He sees a silent hollow sky, he sees the stars come out tonight. He sees the city's ripped back sides, he sees a winding ocean drive, and everything was made for you and me. All of it was made for you and me, 'cause it just belongs to you and me. So let's take a ride and see what's mine. Singing la 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 la. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He sees things from under glass, he looks through his window's eye. He sees the things he knows are his. He sees a bright and hollow sky. He sees a city asleep at night. He sees the stars are out tonight. And all of it is yours and mine. And all of it is yours and mine. So let's take a ride and ride and ride. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. I am a passenger, and I ride and I ride. I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. You know it looks so good tonight. I am the passenger, I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I see the bright and hollow sky over the city's ripped back sky, and everything looks good tonight. Singing la 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 into the car. We'll be the passenger. We'll ride through the city tonight. See the city's ripped back sides. We'll see the bright and hollow sky. We'll see the stars that shine so bright. The sky was made for us tonight. Oh, the passenger, how he rides. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He looks through his window. What does he see? He sees a silent hollow sky. He sees the stars come out tonight. He sees the city's ripped back sides. He sees a winding ocean drive. And everything was made for you and me. All of it was made for you and me. 'Cause it just belongs to you and me. So let's take a ride and see what's mine. Singing la 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 la. Oh, the passenger, he rides and he rides. He sees things from under glass. He looks through his window's eye. He sees the things he knows are his. He sees a bright and hollow sky. He sees a city asleep at night. He sees the stars are out tonight. And all of it is yours and mine. And all of it is yours and mine. So let's take a ride and ride and ride. Singing la 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 la. Singing la 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 la. I am a passenger, and I ride and I ride. I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky. Yeah, the bright and hollow sky. You know it looks so good tonight. I am the passenger. I stay under glass. I look through my window so bright. I see the stars come out tonight. I see the bright and hollow sky. Over the city's ripped back sky. And everything looks good tonight. Singing la 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 la. Get into the car. We'll be the passenger. We'll ride through the city tonight. See the city's ripped back sides. We'll see the bright and hollow sky. We'll see the stars that shine so bright. The sky was made for us